Hello, and welcome to the Excellence Foresight podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Nouaimeh, and my passion is to make an excellence an everyday habit. Whether you're striving for organizational excellence or pursuing personal excellence, this podcast will bring you practices that matter now and for the future. In my Excellence Foresight podcast episodes, I will share with you a sequence of practices to focus on and which will help you on your journey towards excellence. In today's episode, I would like to share my views on challenging the status quo and why it's crucial as the first step towards achieving excellence. When I talk about excellence, I'm referring to the continuous improvement journey that leads to outstanding results. Today, we will discuss how you can challenge the status quo and make that challenge most rewarding. So let's dive in. Well, that's just how we do things here. It's how we've always done it. It's best not to rock the boat. Chances are you've heard these dismissive responses when suggesting changes in the workplace, or even at home when teaching your children new habits. Change will always face resistance. Just ask any leader you know. When I started my first position as a manager of quality 18 years ago, one of my initial tasks was leading an ERP system implementation. The most challenging aspect was convincing the team to review their current practices. Every time I suggested improvements, instead of showing interest, the team reacted with irritation and defensiveness. So what I've done? I set aside time to demonstrate that just because something has worked until now, it doesn't mean there's no need for reassessment or room for improvement. Gradually, the team began to see the value in the new way of doing and the new way of thinking that I was suggesting. Challenging the status quo and focusing on continuous improvement started to gain traction among the team members. I'm a Shingo alumni, and my company is a licensed affiliate of the Shingo Institute. The Shingo model for enterprise excellence is based on 10 excellence guiding principles. Seek perfection is one of these principles that we teach to support the transformation towards continuous improvement. Some people might argue that seeking perfection is not achievable and would prefer to use the phrase pursue excellence. I personally can easily relate to pursuing excellence. And I'm sure many of you can too. The riskiest thing we can do as leaders is maintain the status quo, which in Latin means the state in which. So how can we escape this scenario where we're stagnant, not improving, and content with where we are, whether in our professional journeys or relationships? Let's delve deeper into our podcast today with some tips that will help you challenge the status quo. And we look at it from two angles. How can you, as an individual, strengthen your abilities to challenge the status quo? And if you are a leader, what you need to do to support a culture that enables employees to challenge the status quo. I like this quote by Marshall Ganz, which summarizes much of what I want to discuss today. He says, challenging the status quo involves these 4 key elements: commitment, courage, imagination, and above all, dedication to learning. Commitment is a commitment to improvement, looking beyond the current situation and exploring new practices and ways of doing things. Courage, the courage to take the necessary steps to do things differently, even when it involves other people, and finding ways to gain their buy-in, their involvement, and get them to contribute. It means taking that first step, even if it's difficult or uncomfortable. It also means standing up for your beliefs and challenging the status quo, even if it leads to criticism or opposition. Imagination. It's all about allowing your mind to think outside the box and consider new options. I would like to give this example, the inversion or other way around principle used in TRIZ methodology. The TRIZ is a theory of inventive problem solving, which suggests doing the opposite of the current process. Think of a treadmill, where the moving part is fixed, bringing the activity indoors. What an invention, isn't it? Being able to run and walk inside. Learning. This is very important. Challenging the status quo means changing the belief that the current way of doing things is the best or only way. It's about learning and trying new approaches. To challenge the status quo, it's important to have a growth mindset and a willingness to learn and adapt. Let me pause a little bit here. I recommend to you reading Carol Dweck's book on growth mindset, which emphasizes that intelligence can be developed, challenges should be embraced, and effort leads to mastery. And learning from criticism is essential. Growth mindset means being open to feedback and criticism, admitting when you're wrong, and continuously seeking ways to improve. Many who have achieved great success have done so by being flexible adaptable, and always looking for ways to enhance their approach. Now, here is your challenge for today, something which I want you to consider. Imagine looking at the future with fresh eyes, envisioning where you want to be, and making that new reality your goal. Challenge your status quo. Challenge how your future is going to look like. I personally love challenging the status quo, something I've experienced in various endeavors. Whether it's taking on a managerial role at a young age or initiating a project that I believe needed a lot of improvement, it's about making a difference. Unfortunately, challenging the status quo isn't something leaders often embrace. According to a Harvard Business Review study, 72% of leaders admit they rarely or never challenge the status quo or encourage employees to think creatively. If you want to ensure your employees are set up for success, and you want to foster sustainable growth within your organization, you must constantly seek ways to inspire change and focus on improvement. Organizations develop a status quo for various reasons, from time constraints, prioritization challenges, to a culture of if it's not broken, don't fix it. And I think we've all encountered this. It's the leadership responsibility to create an environment where challenging the status quo is encouraged. So the key question would be, how can you establish such a culture that empowers employees to challenge the status quo? The beginning of this episode, I told you we're going to be tackling this from two angles. One is the individual angle, and the other one is the company leader angle. Let's start with the first one. If you're an employee seeking to do things differently, here are 3 tips for challenging the status quo at work. Speak up, share your ideas, and don't be afraid to express your opinions in meetings. Second, be creative. Develop new approaches, propose them to your manager or team. Third, take risks. Sometimes pushing boundaries is necessary to challenge the status quo and make a significant impact at work. So speak up, be creative, and take risks. And believe it, anyone can challenge the status quo. So here are 3 ways to do so. And start thinking differently. First is spend 10-15 minutes a day asking questions that challenge your status quo. Instead of asking how, ask why. Seek out new experiences. Attend events outside your comfort zone and engage with diverse perspectives. Third, surround yourself with people who think differently, as diverse perspectives can challenge your status quo and complement your skills. Now, the mindset to question the status quo relies on several qualities, and these are the 3 important ones in my opinion. Be observant, have an agile mind, and be courageous. Being observant helps identify problems, outdated habits, and strategies that no longer work. It enables us to acquire useful information and apply it in new ways. An agile mind means approaching situations with an open slate, considering diverse viewpoints, and recognizing opportunities that may not be immediately apparent. It's essential for creativity and finding new solutions. Courageous is being courageous to have that empowerment, being empowered to ask tough questions, engage in difficult conversations, and seek the truth even if it's inconvenient. Now, when it comes to the second angle, if you're a leader seeking to do things differently and encourage employees to challenge the status quo, it's important to understand that challenging the status quo can lead to greater organizational efficiency and innovation. Sooner or later, you'll likely encounter resistance to change because the status quo feels safe and comfortable, while change can appear risky. However, you must encourage employees who aren't afraid to propose new ideas and take risks, as they are vital for driving innovation. Now, let me share with you the 3 actions to create an environment that supports your employees in taking risks and challenging the status quo. First action, promote creativity and risk-taking. Encourage employees to share their ideas. Give them ways to do that. The second is allow failures as opportunities to learn and improve. Make sure employees understand that trying and experimenting is acceptable, within limits, of course. And third, foster a culture of continuous learning and reward employees for innovative suggestions and for their engagement in continuous development programs and learning something new if they do so. Now, these 3 activities should be supported by effective systems to help employees embrace them. In my work with our clients at Accelerate, I focus on implementing such systems, like suggestion schemes to gather ideas, brainstorming systems, regular meetings, R&D, tools to facilitate experimentation. All of these helps employees put their creativity into work. While the previous 3 actions I've shared with you are enablers to a culture of challenge status quo, I would like to share the simple, structured methodology that you could follow when you want to challenge the status quo effectively. Questioning the status quo involves 7 key activities. Start by identifying an opportunity or need. Recognize when something isn't or working or could be improved. Ask questions. Research and ask questions to understand the issue and challenge the assumptions. After you have your questions answered, create a change statement. Clearly define what you want to change to stay focused. Once you have that change statement, explore ideas and weigh options. Generate ideas to address the issue and evaluate them. Once you have those ideas and those solutions figured out, gather allies. Partner with others who can contribute to and support the change. Once that is done, that is ticked, propose a change. Communicate your solution to your team and stakeholders. And the last but not least would be implement the change. Execute the chosen solution, which may be straightforward or complex, but depending on the degree of change. But anyway, it's something that requires implementation. With this roadmap to excellence and to challenge the status quo in a structured way, we come to the end of this episode of the Excellence Foresight podcast, where we share the actionable items on how you, as an individual, or if you're a leader in an organization, can enable a culture that focuses on challenging the status quo as a first step towards continuous improvement and excellence. I thank you for joining us on this episode of the Excellence Foresight podcast and hope you're inspired to challenge the status quo and embark on a journey of continuous improvement and excellence. Engage with us, be part of the Excellence Foresight community, and subscribe to our newsletter on LinkedIn. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. Let's shape a brighter future together. Thank you.